They fired her, erased her name, and called her replaceable. But Dana Whitaker didn't vanish, she rewrote the future. And this time, her signature was carved into the very code they couldn't live without. San Diego mornings had always been Dana Whitaker's fuel. That golden spill of sunlight over the ocean, the call of gulls, and the soft hum of the city waking up, they usually gave her a strange sense of peace before another long day in tech. But today, even the California sun couldn't burn away the frost curling around her chest. Don't worry. Nobody will remember your contributions anyway. The words sliced through the sterile air of Logan Merritt's sleek office like a razor. Dana stood across from him, severance agreement signed and sealed. Her fingers trembled ever so slightly as she closed her laptop, forcing her face to remain a perfect mask of professionalism. I appreciate the opportunity, she said, rising from the chair. Her voice was calm, a practiced cadence that had developed over years of presenting to investors, partners, and engineers. Always poised, always precise. Logan didn't look up. His eyes remained glued to his MacBook screen, sunlight glinting off his watch and his expensively tousled hair. The floor-to-ceiling windows cast clean white light across the glass and marble office, a room they had joked about designing back when they worked out of a stuffy warehouse with peeling paint and fans that barely worked. But that was before the $10 million Series A. Before everything became corporate. Before Logan became something else entirely. She walked out, past the designer furniture, past the frosted glass door etched with quantum shift. Her heels clicked rhythmically along the polished concrete floor of the open office. Rows of engineers clattered at keyboards, the lifeblood of the product she'd architected line by line. None of them looked up. One knew, heading out early. Thomas, a fresh-faced hire with nervous energy, smiled from his standing desk. Something like that, Dana replied, her smile thin and brittle. She packed quietly her small potted snake plant, a photo of her sister and niece, a well-worn, coat-like-a-girl coffee mug, 5 years boiled down to a single canvas tote bag. She didn't linger. The elevator pinged. She stepped in. The doors slid closed. It wasn't the termination that stunned her, she'd seen it coming for weeks. The hush-hush meetings, the shifting glances, the new consultant Troy being given a curiously long leash. It wasn't even Logan's callousness that shocked her. No, it was that he thought she'd vanish without a trace, that her work would simply fade. They had no idea. Her architecture wasn't just intricate, it was personal. The codebase bore her fingerprints in every logical branch, every abstraction layer, every shorthand notation that only she could truly navigate. Documentation? Sparse. Her unique system logic? Untranslated. Her NDA carefully reviewed by her attorney, Valerie Knowles, protected company secrets. But it didn't cover her notes, her private system logs, the prototypes she'd coded before she ever joined Quantum Shift. The real crown jewel, a sophisticated custom authentication algorithm, had originated years ago in a dim apartment. During sleepless weekends when she was just another unknown coder with big dreams and bigger ambition, she'd send it all, every draft, every commit log, to Valerie 3 weeks earlier. When the first red flags appeared, the drive home was silent except for the soft clicking of her turn signal as she pulled into her building's underground garage. Dana sat in her car for a moment, staring at the dashboard. Then she took a breath, picked up her phone and dialed. Valerie, it's done. Dismissed. Valerie's voice was cool, collected. They brought in Troy. More experience, Logan said. 6 months severance? Standard NDA. Nothing extraordinary. IP clauses are unchanged. Valerie chuckled. Smart girl. The files you sent look solid. Let's meet tomorrow and go over your options. Dana nodded, already feeling the tight grip around her chest begin to loosen. The next morning, Dana did something she hadn't done in 5 years. She slept in. No Slack messages, no AM error alerts, no code reviews, no Zoom calls. Just sunlight and silence. At 9 o'clock a.m., she made eggs and toast, brewed proper coffee, and watched the waves crash from her balcony. By noon, she was in Valerie's office, where long conference tables were covered with folders, diagrams, and printouts. You've been meticulous, Valerie said, tapping the stack. Architecture diagrams, commit histories, annotated code, emails. And this, she held up a worn notebook, is practically a diary of the system. My father taught me to keep receipts, Dana said simply. Valerie paused. Do you want revenge? Dana shook her head. I want to be ready. I want options. Good, because companies like Quantum Shift always come crawling back. Valerie's confidence was infectious. That week, Dana eased into an unfamiliar rhythm, beach walks, rewatching her favorite sci-fi classics, letting herself breathe. Now and then, she'd sketch ideas for future startups, products, maybe even a consultancy. On the 21st day post-quantum, her phone rang. Joseph Bryant, Quantum Shift's CTO. Dana, he said, too cheerfully. How have you been? I'm fine, Joseph. What can I do for you? He cleared his throat. The team's working on the next release. We have questions about some of the architecture. Could we consult with you briefly? I'm not sure that would be appropriate. Given the circumstances, we'd compensate you. Logan may have been hasty, Dana repeated, savoring the word. Joseph chuckled nervously. The documentation's specialized. She smiled. I'm sure Troy can handle it. Dana, I wish you all the best, Joseph. Click. Seconds later. A text. We can double your rate. Please reconsider. She ignored it. That night, she was sodding mushrooms when her inbox pinged. Subject line. You won't believe this. It was from Ethan Wilson, a junior dev she had mentored. Dana. Things are falling apart. Troy doesn't get your system. 3 major clients just complained about downtime. Logan's blaming the engineers, but everyone knows it's the architecture. We miss you. She sat down, heart thudding, concern mixed with a strange surge of vindication. Then, Valerie called. Quantum Shift's legal just reached out. They want to discuss a consulting arrangement. Dana laughed for the first time in weeks. Let them sweat, Valerie said. The more desperate they are, the better. Over the next week, the calls came in droves. Joseph, Ethan, even Troy. She dodged them all. Instead, she was meeting with rival firms. Not to be hired, but to understand the market, gauge her leverage, plot her next chapter. Then came the call that shifted everything. Dana, he said, voice tense. We got off on the wrong foot. The board feels your departure may have been premature. A misunderstanding? She asked flatly. He stumbled. We'd like to offer a consulting role. 6 figures. Just a few weeks of guidance. I'm quite busy, she replied. Best of luck, Logan. She called Valerie immediately. They're spiraling, Valerie said. And now I've found something bigger. Dana's breath caught. Logan's been presenting your authentication system as his to investors. Dana froze. What? My contact on the board confirmed it. He claimed full authorship. Used it to secure Series A. Dana leaned against the counter, fury blooming in her chest. He didn't just erase you. He built his empire on your blueprint. What's our next move? She asked, voice low. We wait 1 more week. Then, we strike. The next week passed in a strange blur of anticipation and calm. Dana was no longer waiting for validation or revenge. She was simply watching the inevitable unfold. Quantum Shift's cracks were no longer internal whispers. They had started to ripple through the industry. A prominent product review blog, TechPlunge, had quietly updated their latest article with a damning footnote. Users have reported recurring authentication issues post v4.3 update. Reliability in question. That same morning, Dana received a message from one of her old engineering friends at a competitor startup. Heard Quantum Shift is bleeding clients. You dodged a bullet, Whitaker. She smiled faintly and closed the chat. The power she now held wasn't about burning bridges. It was about knowing she didn't need to cross back over them. By the following Tuesday, Quantum Shift's support forums were on fire. Users were locked out of their accounts. Session timeouts were random. The robust, seamless flow Dana had engineered, once praised for its elegance, had fractured under the careless hands of the new team. Her phone buzzed. Valerie, they're still calling. Legal wants to open discussions, she said. Their tone is changing. Good, Dana replied, pouring herself a glass of wine. They're not the only ones about to change tone. Valerie's voice sharpened. There's something else. My contact forwarded me internal board chatter. Olivia Harris, Threshold Ventures lead investor, is asking serious questions about Logan's role. Dana set her glass down. Olivia asked for a full tech audit after 2 clients walked. She's been given conflicting statements about your contributions. I think she's about to go rogue. That prediction proved true less than 2 days later. It was a quiet Thursday morning. Dana was curled on her couch with her laptop when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole stood Olivia Harris, sharp as ever in a navy pantsuit, flanked by a driver. Miss Whitaker, Olivia greeted calmly. I apologize for the intrusion. May I come in? Dana nodded and opened the door. Let me be honest, Olivia began once seated. Quantum Shift is imploding. Your system is a black box. Logan painted you as the implementer, but our advisors are telling us otherwise. Dana didn't respond right away. Olivia leaned forward. We're holding an emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. I want you there, not as an employee, as the person who built the technology we invested in. Dana tilted her head. You want me to testify? I want the truth. We can't rebuild without it. Dana considered the offer, her heart thudding with quiet fury and opportunity. My attorney will join me. Good. And Dana? Olivia paused. Come prepared. That evening, Dana and Valerie sat at Valerie's glass conference table, surrounded by folders and digital files. Send the formal notice, Dana said. You're sure? I want it on record. They use my code. My pre-employment code. That's our leverage. Valerie sent the letter that night. Friday morning arrived, sharp and electric. Dana dressed in her cleanest lines, a steel gray blazer, white silk blouse, and charcoal trousers, hair pulled back, neutral lipstick. She looked like what she was, the architect of Quantum Shift's core product, ready to reclaim her narrative. The company's glass tower gleamed just as it had the day she was dismissed, but today, the lobby security waved her through with nervous politeness. She and Valerie entered the boardroom to a cold, quiet room. The board sat in a tight half circle. Olivia, Victor Lee from Magnitude Capital, and 2 others, whom Dana had only seen at Series A meetings. At the far end sat Logan, less polished, eyes shadowed, fingers clenched. Dana met his gaze calmly and sat. Olivia opened the meeting. We've reviewed preliminary documentation that raises questions about ownership and authorship of key systems. Miss Whitaker, you may proceed. Valerie stood and handed out packets. These include the original GitHub repository timestamps, early system commits from before Dana's employment, and emails referencing her authentication prototype. You'll find nothing in the employment contract that overrides her retained intellectual rights. Dana stood next. This is the architecture diagram I first built in my apartment in 2017, she said, connecting her laptop to the screen. These are my personal logs and design notes. When I joined Quantum Shift, I adapted it to company needs, but the core remained unchanged. She paused. Logan knew this. We discussed it during my hiring. He dismissed its origin as irrelevant. Logan spoke, voice tight. You're twisting things. You were hired to build. I built what I'd already designed, Dana said firmly. You presented it as your own. The room was silent. Victor Lee leaned forward. Logan, why wasn't this disclosed? Logan floundered. We had deadlines. I supervised the implementation. Supervising is not authorship. Valerie cut in. Joseph, the CTO, cleared his throat. I'll be honest. Without Dana, the system is unmaintainable. Troy couldn't decipher it. It's too tailored. Dana turned to the board. I'm not here to burn the company down. I want fair recognition and licensing terms for my IP. Olivia nodded. And what if those terms aren't met? Valerie's voice was cold. Then the authentication system and every client contract based on it becomes vulnerable to injunction. For 3 hours, arguments rose and fell. The board eventually recessed. When they returned, Olivia addressed the room. The board has made 3 decisions. First, effective immediately, Logan Merritt is removed from his role as CEO. Logan's breath hitched. Second, we offer Miss Whitaker the role of CTO with equity, full credit, and a formal licensing agreement for her system. Dana blinked. That's unexpected. And third, Olivia said firmly, a public statement correcting the record will be issued by end of the day. Logan rose, face pale. You'll regret this. No, Dana said softly, standing tall. You will. He left without another word. The room exhaled. Dana turned to Olivia. Let's get to work. The Monday after she was appointed CTO, Dana walked into her new office, the same one that had belonged to Logan just a week ago. The San Diego skyline shimmered beyond the glass wall, just as it had the day she was fired. But this time, Dana wasn't clutching a severance folder. She was holding a future. A digital calendar pinged softly. 9:30 a.m. Executive Leadership Meeting. It was the first of many as the company began restructuring. Dana stepped into the executive conference room flanked by Valerie, who was now retained as outside counsel for Quantum Shift. Everyone rose when she entered, a gesture she didn't expect but noted. Respect, not just for her position, but for what she'd endured and proven. Thank you all, Dana said. Let's get to work. The first order of business. Triage. Quantum Shift had lost 3 key clients, and product stability was hanging by a thread. Dana dove into the code herself for the first 2 days, not to fix the mess, but to guide others through it. She'd built the architecture, but this time, she wasn't going to be the sole technician. She was going to lead. She formed a special response team composed of engineers she trusted, including Ethan. When she invited him into the team, his voice cracked slightly. Are you serious? After everything, you were the one who always read my shorthand, she said with a small smile. Let's rewrite the future together. The new engineering playbook was collaborative and transparent. Dana opened every process. No black boxes, no hidden workflows, and absolutely no more last-minute investor presentations written by someone else but presented by the CEO. But recovery wasn't just technical, it was reputational. Olivia and the board had scheduled a press conference for the following week. The world had questions. Dana was ready. Valerie stood by her side as they walked through the rear entrance of the downtown media center. The crowd of journalists in the main hall buzzed as the Quantum Shift logo lit up behind the podium. Dana stepped up. Good afternoon. My name is Dana Whitaker. I am Quantum Shift's new Chief Technology Officer. Flashbulbs exploded. I want to be honest about where we've been and where we're going. For the next 10 minutes, Dana laid out everything: the technology, the oversight failures, and the structural changes they were implementing. She didn't throw Logan under the bus. She didn't need to. She simply told the truth. The room went quiet at the end. A single journalist raised her hand. Why come back to a company that fired you? Dana smiled. Because I believed in what we were building. And now, I get to rebuild it the right way. The press conference went viral within hours. Tech blogs, industry leaders, even rival companies were applauding her transparency and resilience. Investors began to return. Clients started to pause cancellations. 1 month into her leadership, Quantum Shift was still in recovery, but no longer in free fall. Then came the email from Logan Merritt. Subject: no hard feelings, Dana. I owe you an apology. I should have recognized your contributions. I didn't, and the company paid the price. For what it's worth, I hope you succeed. Logan stared at it for a long moment, then replied simply, thank you. I do wish you well. We both learned something. Her phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. You've earned their respect and their trust. Time to take it further. That evening, Dana stood in her office, looking out at the skyline again. Below her, the lights of Quantum Shift's building flickered like neurons firing. A company once fractured, now healing. Tomorrow, she'd announce their new product roadmap. Transparent, scalable, built on collaboration. Not revenge. Redemption. 3 months had passed since Dana's return to Quantum Shift, and already the company bore little resemblance to the one she had once walked away from. The culture had shifted subtly at first, then with unmistakable momentum. Open documentation policies, collaborative architecture reviews, and bi-weekly internal audits had become standard. Quantum Shift 2.0, as the board now referred to it, was leaner, more focused, and above all, transparent. The new roadmap Dana unveiled 2 months ago, a platform built around secure, modular authentication services, had garnered widespread attention from the cybersecurity community. Industry analysts predicted a second wave of growth. The press now referred to Dana as the woman who saved her company from the brink, but Dana didn't care much for headlines. Her focus remained on building. She sat now in the open space development hub that had replaced the old executive suite. A large screen showed lines of refactored code while her lead architect presented proposed updates. This API layer will allow third-party integrations without compromising core security, the engineer explained. Perfect, Dana replied, nodding. Let's run simulations with real load parameters by Friday. A buzz on her smartwatch interrupted. A message from Valerie. We got the final IP settlement confirmation. You own it outright now. Licensing agreements intact. Clean closure, Dana smiled. It was over. Truly. This time. A knock on the glass wall startled her. Olivia Harris stepped inside, holding a leather folder. Thought you'd won this in person, Olivia said. The board ratified it unanimously. Dana opened the folder and scanned the contents. It was an official certification of Quantum Shift's adoption of the Whitaker Protocol, the formal name of her authentication framework, with her name, in bold, credited beneath. You've earned every line of this, Olivia said. Dana exhaled slowly. Took long enough. We don't always see the people we invest in clearly, not until they remind us who they are. Later that week, Dana gave her final interview of the year, an exclusive with Tech Circuit Weekly. She sat across from the interviewer in a sunlit garden outside Quantum Shift HQ. What's been your biggest takeaway from the last year? They asked. Dana took a moment. That failure isn't always a door closing, she said. Sometimes it's someone pushing you through a different one you built yourself, brick by brick. And Logan Merritt? The interviewer asked. Do you keep in touch? Dana shook her head, but not unkindly. We exchanged closure. That's enough. Quantum Shift thrived in the months that followed. Clients returned. New ones signed on. Internal surveys showed employee satisfaction had more than doubled 1 year to the day after she'd been dismissed. Dana hosted a celebration for the entire team in the same building where it had all unraveled. She stood before a projector, holding a glass of sparkling cider. A year ago, she began. I left this place with a tote bag and a legal envelope. Today, I walk these halls as your partner in rebuilding something stronger. The applause was thunderous. Ethan raised his glass. To Dana. No, she corrected. To all of us. She looked out over the room, filled with people who believed, people who had seen her rise not from bitterness, but from clarity, because legacy wasn't about what they remembered when you were gone. It was what she changed while you were there.